So let me make sure I heard this right. He said we've ended HHS as a principal vector for child trafficking, sex trafficking, and slavery. Like, it's so unsettling. It is so disturbing. How in the world did this happen? I mean, what do you make of this?
How has HHS been the principal vector for child trafficking, for sex and slavery? How has that happened? I hope they get around to telling us, how did they do that? What have they been actually doing? Obviously, HHS is paid for by American taxpayer money. Riley Gaines' money, John Rich's money, everybody's money. How is HHS trafficking children?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Gains for Girls podcast. What an exciting weekend it was. All of the incredible things that Donald Trump did in a matter of 48 hours. Insane work. We're going to be talking about all of that and more with John Rich in a bit. But I wanted to tell you first and foremost, if you're enjoying the show, which I hope you are, you can visit youtube.com/OutKick. That's where you will find all things Gains for Girls. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. It is the best way to stay connected with everything that we publish. Before we get into this episode with John Rich, who everyone knows, who everyone loves, including myself, I want to tell you about today's sponsor. It is Cozy Earth. Again, the most amazing sheets, the most amazing pajamas and loungewear. Temper regulation, enhanced fabric, superior softness. Again, it's like the most luxurious sleep you'll ever have in your life. Responsible production, which is incredibly important. Durability, commitment to quality. Their bedding, all bedding products, it has a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. That is how much they believe in themselves. That is how much I believe in them. So again, you can check all of that out at CozyEarth.com. You can use my code GAINS for 40% off. 40% off. Best-selling sheets, pajamas, and more. Trust me, you will not regret it. You are going to love it, actually. As I said, we're having John Rich today. He is one half of Big and Rich. He is the founder of Redneck Riviera, which is the best bar on Broadway in Nashville, Tennessee. So if you live in Nashville, if you ever find yourself visiting Nashville, it is the best. It has such a good environment, of course, as you can imagine. If you follow John Rich on social media, or if you've seen anything of him over the past, however many years, you get this sense of what a fun guy, what a positive, outgoing guy he is, how he takes no crap. That's the kind of environment you will find at Redneck Riviera. Really, really incredible stuff. But the thing I admire most about John is he is a doer. He does not just acknowledge problems. He will acknowledge them, of course, first, but then he actually does something about it. I have a lot of respect and admiration for him. He's someone who, if I need advice, or if I am not sure how I feel about a topic, I pretty instantly reach out to John Rich. So very excited for this conversation. You can check it out here. Well, John, thank you for joining the Gains for Girls podcast. You have been really one of the most patriotic, inspirational people to me. So this is super duper exciting. What a weekend Donald Trump had. He mediated a peace deal between India and Pakistan. He brokered an in-person meeting between Russia and Ukraine. He ended big pharma U.S. profiteering by slashing prescription drug prices by up to 80%. He announced a trade deal between the U.S. and China. He made progress in the release of the final American hostage from the terrorist organization that is Hamas, and probably still managed to make par on 18 holes of golf as well. Does this man ever sleep?
No, I don't think he does. You just rattled off things that would take any other president, if they ever got it done, 8 years just to do what you just said, just to do that part. I caution conservatives regularly these days that are Trump supporters, that they're true blue patriots, but they're getting very anxious and even aggressive sometimes on social media, upset about enough things aren't happening yet. You told us this was going to happen. That hasn't happened yet. Various things. And I caution them to say, hey, the guy's only been in there about 15 weeks. We have 208 weeks of Donald Trump here. That's 4 years. This guy is as we would say in the country, making more hay than the barn will hold at this point. I mean, he is cutting and churning every second of every day. And I have a really strong notion that behind the scenes, the people who are not the president, the Kash Patels of the world, the Dan Bonginos of the world, that they are also up to their eyeballs right now, digging through this horrific mess that's been built over these many, many decades under Republicans and Democrat leadership. They are digging through it as well. So I caution conservatives. I don't know if you've seen the same thing I'm seeing, but guys, just take a breath for a minute. Look at what the president is doing.
Of course, yeah. On X all the time, I see these people who deem themselves to be politicians, if you will, who really I don't think have I mean, the smallest inkling of understanding of what has to happen at that level to especially release this information to the general public. There's a lot that goes into it. So I totally agree with you. One thing I've seen you post about often over the past week or so, your tour bus is ready. You tweeted this just last week. You said, "Hey, Tom Tillis, I just had my tour bus tuned up and it'll be fueled and ready to roll to North Carolina when it's time to rally for your primary opponent. I cannot wait. Congratulations. You are now in the spotlight." And you followed it up with this amazing video that we have and we're going to show here.
Thom, 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 you were wrong, wrong, wrong when you went and sold North Carolina out. And thom, 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 you're gonna be gone, gone, gone when that 26 election rolls around. Thanks for nothing, Thom. Go get him, Judge Janine. Oh, yeah.
That's perfect. First of all, I'm so excited about the Judge Janine appointment. That's just incredible. Tell us about this video, what it's about.
What that video is about is I call him Thom Tillis out of North Carolina, standing in the way as he does all the time, again, in front of Trump's agenda, in front of the people who voted for Trump's agenda. We wanted Trump's AG in D.C. to clean up D.C. And then, Thom Tillis and a bunch of the other uniparty rhinos decided, well, the president doesn't know what's best for D.C., but we do, so we're going to stand in his way. So you don't have a problem that's North Carolina specific, even though he's a senator from North Carolina. He is an American problem. He's a problem for patriots. He's a problem for anybody who voted for Donald Trump and wants to see that agenda carried out over these next 4 years. So, yes, the tour bus is fueled up. Yes, the tour bus is tuned up. And I will keep writing songs about you, Tom. All that is the chorus. Wait till I finish the verses. You're going to absolutely hate it. And maybe I'll come sing it in front of 50,000 people in North Carolina. I would also say I would want to caution the president. Do not endorse Thom Tillis. Do not endorse him. You already endorsed Lindsey Graham, which makes me sick to my stomach. Lindsey Graham, to me, is right up there with the worst of them. John Cornyn is another one. There's a whole list of these, Murkowski. There's a whole list of these Republicans who are the biggest barriers in the government to Donald Trump, not the Democrats, supposedly our own people. I don't refer to them as rhinos anymore. I stopped calling them that a long time ago because I thought it was disrespectful to the magnificent rhinoceros. I started calling them Judas Republicans because Judas was one of Jesus's own men, one of the 12 disciples. Jesus got turned in by his own guy, somebody that was supposed to be on his side, on his team. And that's how I view Republicans that are doing things like what Thom Tillis just did. So, Tom, you earned yourself a country song. And again, I haven't even written the verses yet. I will go to North Carolina. If somebody's going to primary him and I get to meet him and I believe they're the right call, you bet your ass I'll show up and play.
Well, if he is going to hate it, that means the American people, again, the 77 million who voted for Donald Trump, are going to love it. And you make a good point. He's a good example of how Republicans, people with an R by their name, if you will, can oftentimes be our own worst enemy. So we have a lot of Judases on our side, but we don't really ever see any dinos, if you will, Democrats in name only. I wonder what the cause of that is. I wonder if Nancy Pelosi just kind of takes them all to a back room and slaps them around and they all come out holding hands. But we don't see a lot of that. They're lockstep all the time at every level, local, state, and federal.
I mean, I do think it is a high compliment that on the right, on the conservative side of things, we will call out our own people. We will call them out. We'll push back against Trump. If Trump is making a move and we're going, no, you got that wrong, people will get loud about that. And guess what? To his credit, he listens. He actually looks at replies and commentary on social media. He really does. Like, he'll look at it, and if he sees something huge trending and he starts seeing the names that are making that trend and it's pushing back against an idea that he has, he'll actually stop and reconsider it and go, hang on a minute, maybe I'm missing something. I mean, I think that's a great attribute that he has. And I do think as conservatives, for us to keep our own in check and call them out like Thom Tillis and say, we're going to primary you, Thom. Thom, 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 Thom to Thom, Thom, Thom. Remember the Thom song? Remember Thong Song? I think it was called the Thong Song. Yeah, we should make it the Thom song. Thom to Thom, Thom, Thom. No, look, he should be run out of North Carolina office. He should be out of office for doing what he's doing.
I saw he tweeted something this morning. I think it was something about how, under Republican leadership, America is coming back. It's stronger than ever. And he even, specifically mentions President Trump. I think he said something like, with President Trump at the helm, we're securing our borders, we're unleashing energy, we're cracking down on crime, driving unstoppable prosperity. The golden age is just beginning. What's that about?
Yeah, he's saying that. Meanwhile, while he's still got the 30 pieces of silver in his jacket pocket.
That's right.
And nobody's going to forget. Nobody's going to forget this stuff. Same thing with Cornyn down in Texas. I mean, you could go piece by piece. These people are not going to forget. And now we know we have a president in there, and he's got 4 years to knock this ball over the fence as many times as he can. The last thing we're going to allow to happen as the American people is for Republicans to derail that. They're in big trouble in 26. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be fierce. Paxton just announced in Texas, I'm going to back Paxton. Are you kidding me? Red flag Cornyn? I don't think so. My tour bus may have more miles on it in 26 from hitting rallies than it will from being on tour.
Well, that's the American people will be excited, and no, we won't forget, especially when we have a catchy jingle to sing with it. You're one of those Nashvillians, like myself, and just as I have been, I imagine you have been incredibly displeased but unsurprised with Nashville's mayor, Freddie O'Connell. He just announced he is launching an emergency support fund for illegal immigrants in Nashville. This includes childcare, transportation, housing, food, you name it. We've got a video here from just this past weekend. Let's watch.
A tough moment, and I am heartbroken that today many of our neighbors in Nashville are experiencing fear over family separation rather than the safety we all deserve. The trauma inflicted on families is long-lasting, and I'm doing everything in my power consistent with applicable law to protect anyone who calls Nashville home. What's clear today is that people who do not share our values of safety and community have the authority to cause deep community harms. Immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility. MMPD officers are not ICE. What's clear is that federal and state authorities are intent on enforcing immigration law. Their approach is not our understanding of what a Nashville for all of us looks like, and we're grateful to our community partners who make all of our residents feel welcome.
We'll be launching a new fund called the Belonging Fund. We want to make sure that the immigrant community in this town knows that we have their back, and the fund will raise dollars that will support the needs of our immigrant community, especially those who've been affected by the ICE raids yesterday, providing funds to support childcare, transportation, housing assistance, food insecurity, and really anything else that they need.
The Belonging Fund, he's openly stating his intent to solicit funds from taxpayers like you and me to harbor illegal aliens. Is this not treason?
So about 6 months ago, Riley, there was a report that came out here in Tennessee from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, TBI, and others. ATF, I believe, also weighed in on this, that there were, in fact, in Nashville, Tennessee, Tren de Agua members, MS-13 members, in and around Nashville, also in Chattanooga, Knoxville, Memphis, Clarksville, basically any town that's got a decent population, but definitely Nashville. They made this big announcement about that. So now you've got ICE coming in here, rounding up, as Trump would say, the worst of the worst, the really, really dangerous people. And you've got a mayor of Nashville saying he's going to raise money to keep that from happening, to try to derail the efforts of ICE. So I would ask the mayor, maybe get with your legal department and go look under federal statutes as to what happens to people that harbor, aid, and abet terrorist organizations. So MS-13, Tren de Agua have now been deemed as terrorist organizations, meaning they fall under the same laws that ISIS and Al-Qaeda fall under. So what would happen to me, Riley, if I was harboring someone from ISIS or Al-Qaeda in my house in Nashville? What do you think would happen?
Well,
They would kick my front door in, as they should, arrest me, haul them off, and I think it's punishable up to 20 years is the statute I read, the federal statute. So keep going. You guys keep doing what you're doing, because, Riley, this is going to lead to one of the most catastrophic defeats they have ever seen in their lives. They think it was bad in 2024. Let them continue to fight for Tren de Agua and MS-13 and see how they do in 26. It is. He's saying they don't share. ICE doesn't. This federal government doesn't share. I think you said share our values of safety. Our values of safety. Your values of safety. Go ask all the moms and dads around the country who have kids who have been murdered, raped, tortured by illegal criminal aliens in MS-13 and Tren de Agua. Are all illegal aliens like that? No. But there's a lot of them that are, and we don't know where they are, and a lot of them are in Nashville. I saw another report, Fox 17 News in Nashville. I literally just saw this, where they said, we basically did a poll down on Broadway, down on Lower Broadway, of the bars and restaurants. And a lot of bars and restaurants are having to close up shop because of the ICE agents who are pulling people out of their businesses. So number one, I thought, well, why are you hiring people that aren't paying taxes or aren't a citizen or illegally here? Number one, that's the first thing. But number two, if you've got somebody working in your place of business who is a dangerous person, why would you want them there any longer anyway? For the sake of your business, your patrons, and everybody else. But guess who they didn't ask about that? This guy. I just so happen to own a bar downtown in Nashville, Redneck Riviera. Everybody there is a citizen. Everybody there is paying taxes. We welcome law enforcement. As you well know, you've been there many times. Law enforcement, ICE agents, if you guys need to cool off after work, come on by the Redneck Riviera. We'd be happy to have you.
Well, there's no better place for them on Broadway. Man, I just imagine a lot of people are shocked this is happening in Nashville. Born and raised here, I think we've seen a big shift over the past really 5 years, I think especially since COVID, which Freddie is on his 12th booster. He talks about it. He boasts about it all the time. But I think one of the things we struggle with in Nashville proper, Davidson County, is low voter engagement. Of the, nearly 500,000 people that can vote, I mean, we have such a low voter turnout. I really don't think, truthfully, that Nashville is as blue as it has been made seem by the likes of Freddie O'Connell and other representation we see at the state capitol for that of Davidson County. So hopefully more and more people get out to vote and understand by not voting, you in turn are voting. And what you are voting for is our city being overrun by, violent, illegal gang members. Really, really crazy stuff. I've got one more clip for you. When I saw this clip, I was stunned. RFK admitted publicly that our government was not just complicit, but collaborative in the trafficking of children. Let's watch this.
We have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, the 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration.
So let me make sure I heard this right. He said we've ended HHS as a principal vector for child trafficking, sex trafficking, and slavery. And then goes on to, even just the phrase, lost 300,000 plus children, it's so unsettling. It is so disturbing. How in the world did this happen? What do you make of this?
I have been thinking about that phrase ever since he said it. And he did not expound upon that. How has HHS been the principal vector for child trafficking, for sex and slavery? How has that happened? I hope they get around to telling us How did they do that? What have they been actually doing? Obviously, HHS is paid for by American taxpayer money. Riley Gaines' money, John Rich's money, everybody's money. How is HHS trafficking children? I mean, I don't have the answer to that. I wish I did. But apparently, I mean, he said that meeting that he was in, that was the cabinet meeting. So everybody was in the room from the president on down. Everybody heard that. You know what else is disturbing? Is that you don't see anybody on the news going into that phrase. Like, where is Fox News? Why is Fox News not saying, or Newsmax, or any other conservative outlets? What do you mean they're the principal vector in child trafficking? What does that mean? Give me an answer. Expound upon that answer, sir. And then go do an investigation and go, what exactly has been happening here? I mean, Riley, these are the kinds of disclosure statements that I hope, as these 4 years roll out, by the time this 4 years is over with, I hope Americans have been told the full story, because I have a feeling even people like you and I who assume the worst, it's probably magnitudes worse than what you and I have even contemplated at this point. And that has been backed up to me by friends of mine in the administration that when they finally got into the job, as bad as they thought it was so much more worse than that they just felt completely overwhelmed by it, and just astonished at just how diabolically wicked some of the ways our government has been acting, not in the past 4 years, in the past 60 years, 70 years, right. Very long time. So good for RFK Jr. for saying that, good for Trump for taking it. I wonder how much information at a time Americans can actually digest.
That's right.
It's the old adage of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You got to bite it, chew it up, swallow it, take another bite. Like, you can't swallow an elephant. And I have a feeling that's probably what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, you make a good point. I have a very tuned in audience. Of course, you know, the people who are watching this or listening to this, they're tuned in for the most part. But I would imagine at least 80% haven't even remotely heard that clip, seen that clip anywhere. As you alluded to, given the fact it's been nowhere on mainstream media. So really, really sick, disturbing stuff. You recently hosted an X Space about online child predators with Homeland Security. Again, I have moms who tune into this show every single week. Can you just give us a very brief overview about the dangers of social media, the dangers of these devices, and the tactics that online predators are using to bring in children?
Yeah, thanks for asking me about that. So a DHS agent came to an event where my 15-year-old son was and my wife was there. And there's a couple of hundred people, you know, kids and moms, teenage boys and moms. And he gives this whole 60-minute really dissertation, kind of like a seminar, teaching the parents, but really teaching the students what to look out for, how to have your phone set, how to not have your phone set, like how giving real-time examples of how these predators get these kids. And my wife was so blown away by it, and she's telling me about it. I said, you know what, that should be heard by everybody in America. That should be heard. I wonder why they're not doing this in a bigger format. So I basically picked up the phone and blind called the Department of Homeland Security and said, hey, it's me. My wife saw this thing. How about I host a live stream with an agent, and let's put this on X where millions of people can see it. And they said, wow, we've never had a civilian reach out and ask for something like that. But absolutely, yes, let's do that. So we did it. Right now on X, just at John Rich. It's still pinned at the top of my X page. I think it's at 2.9 million views right now. But just real quickly, any moms that are watching out there that are listening to me and Riley, go watch that. And don't go watch it by yourself. If you're married, have your husband with you. If you got kids, any kid that's 6th grade and older, this is okay for them to watch. Sit them down and watch this together as a family. It's things like on social media where a kid, for instance, let's say a cheerleader is at a high school football game, and she's taking a picture of herself and she posts it on Instagram. Okay, more than likely the location services are on her phone when she posts that, because if she doesn't go in and turn it off on purpose, the location services will be on. A predator then can find her social media page. He's just scrolling around looking for cheerleaders or whatever the creep's looking for. He'll find her. He'll click on that picture. And then he'll be able to see exactly where she was when she took that picture. So he knows now where she goes to school. He can then cross-reference that and find her parents' Facebook pages. Go learn the names of her parents, their address, where they work, where they go to school, church, all their private, it's public information. And then they begin the grooming process of this kid. Well, they'll present themselves as someone that's that kid's age. Might be another cheerleader. Might be a kid that plays football who's 15. Hey, you're really pretty, whatever. And they'll start a conversation. And when they finally got them compromised, that's when they lower the boom. There's a kid that I know here in Nashville who just went through this situation. I've known him since he was a little boy. And same thing, he thought he was talking to a kid his age, and he was actually talking to a child predator. And the predator threatened his family, threatened to, kill them. Knew the names of his family members, knew where he lived, knew everything about him, and of course scares this kid half to death and then puts that kid in a compromised position. So what you learn on that live stream, again, it's just at John Rich. It's pinned at the top of my page on X. Last year alone, Riley, 36 million tips were called in. 36 million. That's how many were called in. How many times did it happen? God only knows. So the chances of you actually knowing someone who's either dealing with this or has dealt with it is very, very high. And so the best way to keep that from happening is to educate yourself and your kids on how to handle these things right here, how to handle this. Listen, there's nothing a mom or a dad would not do to keep a child predator from breaking one of their windows, kicking down their front door, and coming in and stealing one of their kids in the middle of the night, right? We would kill them. We would kill them with our bare hands. We'd kill them with a spoon. Anything I get my hand on, give me an ashtray. I'm going to kill this guy. There's nothing that would stop us from killing them.
That's right.
But we allow them into our homes night after night after night after night because we're not paying attention. We don't understand how the tech works. The bad guys are way ahead of us on the way that they approach this. So parents have to catch up. I'm so glad you brought this up, Riley. So it's sitting right there, top of my X page. Go watch it. It's actually now on YouTube as well. So if you go on YouTube and look up John Rich, Department of Homeland Security, boom. So if you're not on X, you can still see it. Forward that around. I've told people if you've got a church group, you should show it at church. Yeah. If you got a group of moms and dads, your school wants to show it, show it. This is the lead detective for DHS in the state of Tennessee giving this dissertation. It is highly, highly important that parents watch it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I would imagine, especially where we live, again, and I live in a conservative part of Tennessee, people think, I'm immune to this. It won't happen to my kid. My child would never engage in this. Guess what? No one is immune to this. People are crazy, as been made very clear, I think, over the past 5 years, especially. So, John, I appreciate you so much. The thing I love about you is you're just a doer. Like you're not one of those talking heads. We have a lot of people, and God bless them. We need them to highlight the information, to communicate with the public. But you are so much more than that. And truthfully, I find it so admirable how you have everything that you have. You have a career, you have a family, you've got a job. I mean, you have other things going on in your life, but it never stops you, number one, from doing the right thing, and number two, doing what needs to be done, point blank, period. So much respect and admiration, truthfully, for you and what you do. Well, so thank you very, very much.
Very kind. And everything you just said, straight back at you, sister, because we've all watched what you've done and continue to do. You're in a lane under your own. I'm kind of in a lane on my own, but it takes all of us, like you said. Don't just yell at the TV. Stand up, put your brain into gear, and actually go out there and have some impact and try to help the situation. So I appreciate you saying that.
That's it. Well, I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the Thom Tillis song.
Thom, 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 thom. It's pretty fun. It sticks in your head. It might actually be a hit. Maybe what I'll do, Riley, is I'll finish writing the song, and then I'll put it up on iTunes. And once he has a primary opponent that we all think should be the guy or girl, whoever it is that's running against Thom Tillis, I'll put the song out, and then every download will all go to the campaign of his primary opponent.
That's perfect.
And you get a really fun song to blast in your pickup truck as you're heading to the rally. I mean, why not? We can still have fun around here.
Boom. That's perfect. Well, you're the best, John.
Thanks, Riley. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Gains for Girls podcast. As John said, go to his X page, John Rich. Watch the pinned tweet, especially if you are a mom, a dad of a child. Have your child watch it with you. Really, really impactful and powerful stuff. It's not that long, but it teaches you of the dangers of online predators, the tactics that they use, how you can keep your child safe. Really, really important stuff. Again, CozyEarth.com. You can use code GAINS, my last name, GAINES, for 40% off. You are not going to regret it. I would encourage all of you to do it. If you didn't get your mom a Mother's Day gift, which I hope you did, you can get this for her. Again, best-selling sheets, pajamas, loungewear. What mom does not want a late Mother's Day gift that is pajamas? CozyEarth.com, code GAINS for 40% off. And I want you to go to youtube.com/OutKick. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe to Gains for Girls. That is the best way to stay connected with everything that we are doing. So, as always, appreciate you guys, and we will see you again next week. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. The fight to save women's sports and restore common sense is far from over, and I continue the conversation every week. So make sure to catch more content over here and subscribe to OutKick so you don't miss a thing.